Welcome to the Drone Champions League, the World Championship for professional drone racing teams. And here we are in our 8th season, which has only just begun. We're in the first split of the year, about to show you our racing around the fictional location of Proptown, USA. Many more race days to come after this one, when we've had 18 races, all of our 10 teams racing each other twice in a group stage. We'll then know who the top 6 teams are to progress to our live finals later on this year. Teams in 5th and 6th will automatically go into the elimination zone. The top 4 teams will have 2 chances to survive. If you're in the elimination zone and you lose a race, you are out. So we'll lose one of Team E and F very early on. The teams in the main round, they've got 2 lives, if you like. Lose a race and you're into the elimination zone to face whoever's still there. Beat them and you stay alive. It's possible to go from the elimination zone all the way to being the split champion. Our matches come as a best of 7. The teams pick 4 of their 8 pilots to race, not knowing who their opposition has picked against them. They'll start off with a 1v1 and then a 2v2 and another 2v2. Then we'll see the big heat with all the pilots racing at the same time. And if one team has won all of those races, this best of 7 is over. But if not, we'll carry on with 2v2s, another 2v2 and a do or die 1v1 to settle that best of 7. 10 teams in the DCL, the top 5 are ones who've entertained us for many years, the bottom 5 all newcomers looking to upset the rankings. Here's the team they all want to beat, the 2-time consecutive world champions Raiden Racing from Japan. They beat out this team, X-Blades, back in 2021 in a shock. Until then, X-Blades had won the World Championship title for an unbelievable 6 consecutive years. Quad Force 1 would love to surprise both of them. Our loud and proud American team have been 3rd in the leaderboard for many years. They nearly won the title back in 2018. Can they get it done this year? The China Dragons have had their best start ever in a season. On the opening day, they beat Raiden Racing. They need to continue their charge from there. SDT Perpetuum Coin were previously a wildcard team, but have been a firm team in the World Championship for the last couple of years. Right now, joint top of the leaderboard. They've never been anywhere close to that position before. Now here come the 5 teams who are new to the DCL this season, starting with Cyclone Racing, who have made the biggest impact of all of them. They were joint top of the World Championship leaderboard after the first day of racing. Haven Airborne are out of Stavanger in Norway. They've got Eric Holden front and centre, who's a previous brilliant pilot and came runner-up in the World Championship when he used to race for Apex Racing. Alpha Prop Racing, here with some pilots we've also seen in the DCL before. Their main rivals are Cyclone. There's a lot going on between them ever since the days of the amateur leagues, but it's all in good fun. Mach 1 are our all-female drone racing team. Women have always competed in the DCL World Championship as part of the main event, plus we had a DCL Women's Cup in the last couple of years. Finally, let's meet the DCL wildcard team, pilots who've proved themselves on DCLTheGame through our online tournaments and the DCL draft. These pilots were approached and asked if they wanted to show us the best they can do against the professional teams, and they've got off to a pretty decent start. Here's the standings after 3 race days. X-Blades in a very strong position to try and get that World Championship title back. They're currently tied at the top with STT Perpetuum Coin. Cyclone Racing, great performances from them. Then we've got the rest of the teams we know well and the newer teams currently underneath them at the bottom. Today's race will be between Quad Force 1 and Alpha Prop Racing. Let's first meet our American team. We have Leviathan, that's Levi Johnson, the Rookie of the Year from 2021. Alongside him, Propsicle, Silas Aaron, racing out of Mount Vernon, Illinois. He's been the captain for many years. Next to them, Proximo, Colin Roundtree, racing out of Ohio. And on the right, Burkan, who's Dimo Sterev, who joined the team in 2022, transferred over from Drone Sports Global. Their opposition are Alpha Prop Racing, who have Micro, that's Miguel Meja, racing out of Madrid. Alongside them, Gabriel Principe, just 19 years old from Somma Campagna in Italy. He's been with the team since it started 1.5 years ago. It was his dream since 2021. Top 10 in the DCL draft last year. Now his team are in the main event. Vinagre's FPV is Jordi Filguera from Yada in Spain, and then Lazy Day, Kevin Marshall from Colorado, USA. Today we'll be racing around our fictional location of Proptown, USA on a track we call Bustling. A dive under 2 bridges here and then over 2 before a harsh right turn and a drop through that square hole. Then you come under this building to the Foxier turn and 4 corkscrews in a row. After this, a sudden left 270 into a very sharp slalom which turns 90 degrees and carries on here onto the train tracks. Then you have to barrel roll or corkscrew your way over the top, back underneath and cross the road. You go underneath 2 overpasses and head to Central Park through our fountain and then through the artistic sculpture, dive back underneath and head to the skies. If you're in 2nd or 3rd, you'll get an idea of exactly where your opponents are. Don't get it confused as you weave around the poles and head back over the rooftops to start the next lap. Let's get into the racing. Quad Force 1 and Alpha Prop Racing. Propsicle's going to start off for the American team. Lazy Day will go up against him in the 1v1 for the newcomers. The American Quad Force 1 in dark blue, Alpha Prop Racing in this beautiful pink colour. And we're looking now, early in the race, after the dive, Lazy Day following Propsicle around the corkscrews. There's 3 and 4 of them now into the slaloms. It's just a bit more dangerous for Lazy Day here. Rolling very harsh from side to side, not as smooth as perhaps it needs to be to keep up with a pilot like Propsicle. There's already 1.5 seconds between these two. Both of them into the Central Park. Lazy Days completed the fountain, and again it's slightly angular, slightly twitchy, not quite so smooth for Lazy Day. Coming up to the top of the building, and he's missed the entry! He's made it through the hole nevertheless, but he's lost a lot of time. This is the big dive now, and he'll be looking to see where Propsicle is. I'm not sure he had a line on him. Propsicle out of sight, coming underneath now to the Foxier turn and into the corkscrew. 2, 3 and 4. Cleanly out of there, and just watch how smoothly that is. Not rolling his drone too much. Again, look here. Not swinging it as wildly as Lazy Day earlier. The barrel roll over the road is graceful as well. He'll come under now into the Central Park with 7 seconds between him and his opponent in pink. Out through the art sculpture and on his climb, perhaps trying to see where Lazy Day is, but I think his teammates can let him know you're not being challenged just yet. He's coming up to start the 3rd lap after this dive down. Lazy Day with a lot of work to do. 7.5 seconds behind him. Propsicle makes the dive so well, as he always does on that kind of obstacle. Back to the Foxier turn with him into the corkscrews. 9 seconds now for the Alpha Prop pilot behind Quad Force 1. Difficult pressure on Alpha Prop. They've had a difficult start to the season in the first 3 race days. Going in a 1v1 against the captain of Quad Force 1, a huge challenge there. But when the pilot lineups are picked, when you nominate your pilot to go first or in the 2v2s, you don't know who your opposition is lining up against you. So Lazy Day has stepped up to start things off for Alpha Prop Racing. He didn't know which Quad Force 1 would be up against him. It's the captain showing us how to fly. Propsicle's route round and down into the finish gate, getting the first point for the Americans of Quad Force 1, and Lazy Day with some catching up to do. Those wild rolls from side to side look a little more graceful front on. Lazy Day attacking this race very aggressively from the beginning, as he had to do to try and keep up with a pilot as experienced as Propsicle. All looks nice and clean for Lazy Day, but of course when he got to the top of this dive, that's where he went in a little bit too soon. Managed to crash through the hole and regain his orientation quite quickly. Some pilots might have got a little bit more lost there. Later on in the race, trying to close what was now a really big gap. It's all very aggressive angle flying. Just a little bit too tight there on trying to get out of the corkscrews. Meanwhile, Propsicle, who I said looked like he was enjoying himself, he had that race in his hands. Look at him corkscrewing here. Facing 90 degrees to the route that he's corkscrewing over them, so he carries on his forward movement. A little bit of a roll there, completely unnecessarily. I think that's a sign of a pilot knowing that he's in a great position, thanks to the information being given to him by his teammates. He's nevertheless full pitch attacking. And what is that? A little yaw roll? Propsicle enjoying himself. That's dangerous for anyone to face, because when it's still got to the difficult parts, he's still giving it full send, even if he does have time for a little bit of a roll along the way. Propsicle and Lazy Day come back for the first of the 2v2s. Proximo joins the Americans. Gabri Prince is racing in pink now for Alpha Prop. And it's a good start for Gabri, who has shown themselves to be, in the first 3 races of this season, maybe the strongest pilot on the Alpha Prop roster. Certainly the only one who's been keeping up with their opposition. The only one to score any points for Alpha Prop after the first 3 race days as well. So we'll stay on board with them at the moment as they've just moved past Proximo and have got Propsicle in front of them. And in fact behind them now. Good work from Gabri. Now onto the climb. They're all within 1/100th of a second, Gabri and the 2 American pilots. And Gabri has shown in previous events that they can do great dives, great attacks on really tight corners. They're going to need to, and I think they've given Quad Force 1 a little bit of a wake-up call here. Gabri was good on that dive, but maybe a little bit close towards the ground. Finding their way now onto lap number 2. Let's see what you can do around the corkscrews, Gabri, because you've got some incredible pilots to keep up with. And keeping up, they are. The route through the slalom, slightly more direct, slightly quicker than we saw with Lazy Day, who's 5 seconds behind this action. Gabri heads into the part, 2 blue drones just in front of them through the art sculpture. It's less than half a second now, the gap has closed. Gabri could do some damage here. Cuts on the inside, cuts very close to the pole, moves up into second. Less than 0.2 of a second now between them and Propsicle. This is a very different race for the one that Propsicle was just taking part in. 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second. Gabri trying to hang on to Propsicle. Oh! And is going to let it go. Oh, what great racing from them. Putting Propsicle under real pressure, but it's all gone horribly wrong. Such a tangle, no getting out of that quickly. I said in the first race of today how well Lazy Day recovered. That's not a good recovery for Gabri. That's 5 seconds behind this pilot who's going skywards. Propsicle very much having to compete, but Gabri falls. And Propsicle's home. What a great race though from Gabri for Alpha Prop. Again leading their team. And Propsicle the captain leading his to the points. That's on the 3rd lap once the race had all gone away from Gabri and the Alpha Prop team. But we can see how well they barrel rolled there. Slightly wide on an exit of the turn there. Perhaps the rhythm has gone. The fire in the belly. Chasing the American pilots, knowing now that it's a little bit too far out of reach. Before then though, here's where Gabri passed Propsicle. Crashed into 2 parts of the slalom, had to reset, and now the chase was back on. So clean, consistent flying from Gabri gave them the lead. Propsicle here going beautifully through the corkscrews as Gabri went a little bit wider, which is how they moved back into 3rd. Proximo couldn't hang on to this race though. Gabri comes under there. Side by side flying. And you can see those corners much more aggressive than the ones we just showed you on the 3rd lap for the pink pilot. Now we'll see their teammates, Leviathan and Birkin against Vinagres and Micro Mechane. The 2 pilots for Alpha Prop in pink. So far, unproven. The 2 pilots in blue, Leviathan and Birkin, we've seen in the DCL in previous years. Levi, though, Levi Johnson, he's had a mixed up few race days at the start of this season so far. Very close chases in some of them, way behind at the back in some other ones. Right now, he's in the lead with less than 1/10 of a second between him and his teammate Birkin. The Alpha Prop pilots already 2 seconds and more behind. Levi's climb is very good. Weaving his way back through the building and the dive. With Birkin still for company, 2/10 between them. Vinagres 4 seconds behind. Levi though, the previous races so far this season, they've not been the cleanest ones that we've seen him fly. He was Rookie of the Year, remember, back in 2021. He had a solid season in 2022. This is aggressive, confident flying from him. Oh, he's hit part of the slalom. That didn't really mess up the barrel roll he had to do afterwards. It has given Birkin the slip past him. There's 2 seconds between these two pilots now. There's Levi finding his way into the art sculpture as Birkin goes towards the Proptown skies. Levi in second again. Coming into the building now. Out of that. Vinagres 7 seconds behind, and Micro a long way further back from there. Difficulties for some of these Alpha Prop pilots to keep up with teams who have been in the DCL for years. But that's the situation of a new team, of course. Coming in, needing to have realistic expectations of where you think you can make it to the season. Knowing that it's stacked against you, of course, when you're up against teams who've come third in the World Championship 3 years in a row, for example. Here's Levi, who's cut the gap almost by half between him and his teammate. Burkhan's look there. Over the top, weaving his way back through the building and then out. Nobody getting lost on the way down there. Levi going for a slightly aggressive pre-turn, which took a few tenths out. Quicker at the end. 8 tenths of a second behind this man, Burkhan, who gets another point for Quad Force 1. Vinagres' climb early in the race, bit hesitant on the pull out of the dive, and that's the small dive. Here's the big one coming up. Levi, full invert there on the way down, very aggressive. Don't just let it descend under gravity, but pull that quad to the floor as quick as you can. And here's his route through the corkscrews. You can see he's still moving to the right as he does so, but not so much forward speed as Propsicle had on that part. Micro getting caught out on the turn, that's after the corkscrews. Levi on the second lap did hit the underpass again before the barrel roll. Not the upright column like he did on the first lap, but this time the underside of the road. And Micro very low to the ground, getting tripped over by the flowers. Let's go for the DCL Big Heat. All 8 pilots, all at the same time, and Quad Force 1 in a 3-0 winning situation. Any of their pilots at the front of this, and this duel will go 4-0 and be over. Alpha Prop will fall on a clean sweep to Quad Force 1. Propsicle, again, leading his team. Good rolling, good tight rolling through the first of the slaloms. He and all of his teammates in front of all of Alpha Prop Racing. It is, of course, Gabri, who's the leader of those pink drones at the moment, with everybody else struggling to keep up with Gabri, never mind the American team. Propsicle to the skies. Burkhan and Levi ahead of him at the moment. Back in our real-life racing days, which we hope to return to soon now that the lockdowns and COVID are reducing. We used to have pilots playing it a little bit safe. They might think, I don't want to crash into my teammate in the lead. I want to hold back a little bit. Make sure that if anything happens to them, I'll take second or third. Here, I can tell you, everybody wants the win. It's 1 point just for the winner of the race. Propsicle would like to get another one. He's still got Levi in front of him, who's making a much better run of it. Propsicle going very aggressively into the park. Burkhan with him. Levi over half a second in front of them. Gabri's moved up past Proximo, though. 1.5 seconds to get involved in this action. Can they close that gap any further and get Alpha Prop back onto the scoreboard? They'll have seen all the blue drones there. Good visibility of all the action in front of you. Propsicle would still love to get in front of Levi. He's mentored him quite a lot. They're both flying together so much during the season when Levi became Rookie of the Year. Of course, what they want to do is beat all the other teams. This could be the year that Quad Force 1 finally get the championship title. They've had a solid start to the season. They did lose to the reigning world champions, Raiden Racing, 4 points to 3, but then they beat them on another race day, 4 points to 2. So they've come out better there. Talking of coming out better, out of the sculpture, Propsicle has beaten Leviathan on the climb. Is Prop going to make this 3 points out of 3 races for himself today? This is the end. He's going to take it, and he does. Levi with a solid second. In comes Quad Force 1, third and fourth. It will be Gabri who finishes first for Alpha Prop. Propsicle's delighted. A clean sweep in the big heat, and in the whole duel, they win it 4 points to 0. Here's Propsicle early in the race, showing us how to do those corkscrews again. But look, his teammate's slightly more aggressive, just trying to push past him. Levi's in front of him. Birkin very close to getting past him. At this stage, Birkin has moved up, and you can see how smoothly Propsicle is flying. Well, look, there, Birkan's drone cuts in on the inside of him, takes it back up to second place as they make their way through the sculpture. But look how straight Propsicle is here. Picks a line, no adjustments, keeps it going smooth, and again on the dive down. Here's Levi coming up to that spot that troubled him earlier, but he was so close to the underside of that road, and yet his barrel roll around it this time, absolutely balletic, no problems whatsoever. Still in the lead at this stage, and on the way up for the climb, and again, straight, look, picked a point. Not second guessing it, but here, as the third lap will show us, all good for Levi until we get into the park. It was the fountain that actually hit him first. And from that point, Propsicle just swept past. Gabri for Alpha Prop, still the standout pilot for them, but that was them just getting past into 5th place. Quad Force 1, a very dominant performance. Maximum points for the Americans. They'll be absolutely delighted with that. They want to sweep teams and get as many points as they can. Propsicle winning all 3 of the races he was in. Elsewhere on race day 4, Alpha's rivals, Cyclone, did a good showing against Haven. STT Perpetuum Coin, who were joint top of the leaderboard before today's racing after their best start they've ever had in a season. They took a 4-1 loss against the China Dragons. X-Blades Racing, our team who've been with the DCL since the start of 2016. They beat the Wildcard team 4-0, and Raiden also won 4-0 against Mach 1, which is exactly what they needed to try and stay in contention to keep their title. So look out for Race Day 5 coming to you soon, and make sure you follow us at DCL.aero and the Drone Champions League on all social media platforms to keep up with the news. We'll see you in the skies!